she would hide in the dog crate and we put this blanket over so you couldn't see in there because she didn't believe me. She was like, they just blow you and then they leave and they say thank you. I'm like, I swear that's what they do. So she would hide in the crate and watch it.
This is back to your story.
All right. How's it going, man?
Casual.
I like that answer. I really want to first say thank you so much for coming on the show, bro.
Thanks for having me.
When I reached out to you a little while ago and set everything up, you were really accommodating. And once again, I will apologize about the bullshit with the lift today.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely
Don't ever
is.
do that again.
The dude actually ended up
I was just trying to
it.
getting out of driving my wife's car. I fucking crashed my car the other day. I'm not having good luck with cars.
What happened?
Man, I'm going to tell the whole truth, but I got a nice car, like a fast car, but it's a stick. And somebody was turning onto the freeway, and I guess they stalled, or I don't know, something stupid where I was like, get the fuck out of here. And I went to go around them, and I had traction control off, and it hit one of those little steel, the vent things or whatever, and just and it span out, and I had something in my hand. I'm not going to say what, but I tried to reach for the steering wheel and it didn't get it. And I'm like, oh my God. And I brake. It's too late. Fucking my front right hit the fucking curb. And it was right when I was getting on the freeway and it flattened the tire and broke stuff.
No.
And I had to drive it on to the next ramp and get off. I was downtown and I parked at the Central Station or whatever downtown, and it's just fully shitty there, and broke my fucking baby. I love my car so much. And then tow trucks wouldn't come. They kept canceling because of what area I was in or whatever. So 5 hours pass, and my wife gets me a tow truck from another company, and then they pick me up, drop the car off at BMW, get in the house. They call AAA because I got AAA. Yeah. They called 7 hours later. They go, Jason Ellis, I'm like, yeah. And they're like, hey, man, I'm here to pick up your car. I'm like, dude, I called you at 8. It's fucking 3:45. He's like, yeah, man, super sorry. It's sketchy out here. And I was like, yeah, I left. He's like, okay, well, get some rest. And I was like, yep. And then, so now I've got my wife's car, Subaru, nice car, got discounted because I'm friends with Bucky Lassick. Shout out to Bucky Lassick. Yeah. I love that car for her.
Yeah.
But she's little. She's 100 pounds, and I'm 200. And I can't. When you get out, you have to. It's fucking embarrassing. I feel like I'm doing an India every time I get out of the car.
Yeah, my mom has one of those types of cars, and I totally get it, bro. I always feel kind of like so scrunched in that shit.
Yeah.
You know, being like 6'2", I'm only like 170, but still.
I don't know what that car's not for like.
No, not at all.
Full-size person.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. Can you actually move the mic just a little bit closer?
Okay.
There we go. Dope. So, back to your story is all about the individual story, like who they are, where they came from, what they're all about. And, I know you've told this a whole bunch of times, but, for the sake of my listeners, kind of just like a brief introduction, like, who you are and where your story originally started.
Melbourne, Australia. That's where I was born. And skateboarding is my thing. I got into skateboarding, and obviously when you get good at skateboarding, you find out that this is in the 80s. So you at first I think I heard about a guy named Tony Hawk, but we didn't have the magazine because the only shop we had was a water ski shop, and the water ski shop had a skate section in the back. And there was a guy that worked there that would say something about, I remember Tony Hawk doing an airwalk, and I'm like, nah, that's impossible. And then the magazine came, and I was like, whoa, it's real. Like, these people are real. So I always wanted to go to America my whole life. And then I think 7 years of skateboarding or something and trying to be cool. And then finally I came to America when I was 17, right when I turned 17. And then it was, every year you go. It was different back then. You could get a holiday visa for 6 months.
Yeah.
So 6 months in America, then 6 months back to work, save the money, go back. And it was just like couch surfing. I lived at Lance Mountain's house for a really long time. Like, he just let me live there. He actually told the story at my 50th birthday where he didn't actually say that I could stay there that long. I just stayed there. And I was like, oh, that's not how I remember it. He's like, that's how it was. I'm like, I believe you. So yeah, he let me, he's one of the first people to ever be so kind and then when somebody like that is so kind to you and you've looked up to somebody like that your whole life, you think that maybe you could be one of them. Like, I think he was the first person to make me think that maybe I could do what he, obviously not at his level, but be a professional skateboarder for a period of time. So it was that for a long time. Then I successfully became a professional skateboarder and lived the life for maybe 15, 20 years. Then, drugs, alcohol, injuries started to slow me down, wasn't doing as well, and managed to transition into doing some announcing for ESPN. So all of a sudden I was using microphones and talking. And then that went to... Tony Hawk had a radio show offered to him at Sirius XM satellite radio and asked me if I wanted to be the co-host, and also told Sirius XM that this is before I've done any radio. Yeah. Told them that he thinks that I would be a great radio host and that they should hire me. Like, the fucking dude. I had no idea about this. So he got money to pay me from Sirius and paid me for a few years. Then Sirius offered me a job to move up to Los Angeles and be a DJ. And I really put a lot of work into being a DJ to try and get my own show, to try and get enough fans to convince the higher ups to let me have a talk show. That was the goal. And then it happened. And the show was like really big, like one of the bigger shows on Sirius XM. And, I was making ridiculous amounts of money and being a radio guy. And then the COVID came and they dropped me and I became a podcaster and I got into stand-up comedy. And that's where I sit right now. I'm a podcaster and, you do the Patreon and all that stuff, trying to survive. So I have the Jason Ellis Show and Hawk versus Wolf with Tony Hawk, which is pretty funny because before I did the Jason Ellis Show, I was on a show with Tony Hawk and now it's in the same room that it was when it was on Sirius XM. So we're back.
Damn.
So 20 years later or some ridiculous shit like that, we're back and we're doing a show together as two old men that love skateboarding and don't mind talking into a microphone. It's pretty fucking cool.
Could you have ever imagined, man, when you were a kid growing up in the 80s that this board with wheels would take you on this fucking incredible journey?
Yeah. Well, like I said, Lance Mountain was the first person to make me realize a destination in my life. Like, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder and I wanted to travel the world with all my skateboard friends like Lance Mountain.
Yeah. And
I'm happy that I didn't have any further goals than that because I would have been very stressed because it would have been a good, it would show that in the end you can't skate forever and you're going to be, broke because you don't have a career.
100%.
So I just kept thinking about just being a skateboarder and that's what I got. So I lived my dream for sure, and to be with all those guys and have the respect of my idols. There is, still there's nothing cooler than that. So
no, I totally respect that. Do you think that goals limit people? Because a lot of times people will write these goals like every single year, New Year's time, they write these goals down. And sometimes they're not achievable or sometimes they are achievable. But there is something to say that shooting for all these goals, writing them down instead of just doing and living and following whatever the fuck makes you happy seems to be a better course. Or you get stuck on these, like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And if I don't do this, I'm stuck in all these boxes.
I mean, it works different for different people.
Yeah.
I don't think writing down things hurts. I think if you write down the same thing every year, you got to start to realize that you didn't accomplish that thing that you keep writing down.
Absolutely.
I think, having affirmations and writing things down and just being passionate, that's really the only way to be good at anything. If you think you want to be good at it because it's going to make you money, it's not enough to, depending on what it is, but it's not enough to get you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to love it, And if you love it and you can't stop thinking about it and you do it over and over again, you got to be possessed by it.
Absolutely.
and whatever it is, if that is the case, it's a good chance you'll excel.
100%. What for you, growing up in the skateboard culture, what was it that really drew you to skateboarding in the first place? Like, for me, it was, the people that I surrounded myself with, and, watching Chad Muska and Eric Costin and, all these fucking legends, the magazines and Thrasher and all that stuff that really drew me into, the amazing sport of skateboarding. For you, what was it?
Man, I don't know about anything like just one thing. I mean, I was always kind of by myself. Felt like I was by myself, and skateboarding was something you could do by yourself. I don't know what happened, man. Something about it just took over. I don't really have much of a brain when I was a kid. I think all the things that had happened to me as a child, I had buried, so they didn't even exist to me. So I think cutting that out of my memory kind of cut a lot of things out of my memory. I just didn't think about too much except getting the fuck out of here. That was a big one. I didn't like where I was from. I felt like I always felt like there was something else out there that I was going to do. I didn't know what it was. And then when I found skateboarding, I knew what it was. Like when I look at the youth today, and I have kids, I knew exactly what I wanted at a very young age. Probably by 16, I think there was no fucking way anybody was going to talk me out of it. And when I was thinking about it, no one had done it. Like in Australia, there was not a pro skateboarder. And I was like, I'm going to be a pro skateboarder. And my parents didn't believe that to be an actual job because there was no video. It's not like now. Like you couldn't say, well, I'm going to be like the other 500 people that have done it before me. If you said Tony Hawk back then, that didn't mean anything. Yeah. My parents were like, who the fuck is Tony Hawk? I don't believe that anyone, surely he has a job and he skateboards. And I'm like, no, this is their job. So it was more, Animal Chin, that video where, the life just looks so fucking awesome and was just reassuring me that this was the right choice. And I wasn't even talented either. But I just knew I was gonna make it. Maybe it wasn't so much to be the best, because I used to think that that's what I was in it for. But I think I just wanted to be a pro skateboarder, or in worst case scenario, be a skateboarder and hang out with the pros in America.
Yeah.
I didn't have big, I'm going to be a million. I didn't know about money. I didn't care about money. I only cared about skateboarding. So if I got to America, I'd already won. It wasn't about coming to America and showing the pros what's up. I think there was a couple of years there because I would go to America, come back, and then go again. And obviously, when I come back to Australia, I was 1,000 times better than anybody in Australia. So that was an ego booster.
For sure.
And then I'd want to go back, with these guys that are over there with all the best and be better again. So they're like, oh, shit, Ellis learned this shit or that shit. And so it was just more of that's what everybody was doing in skateboarding. So that's what I took from it was get better.
Absolutely.
Push it.
I mean, that's a good motto for life, right? And for you, it just seems that you're very dedicated, right? You're very focused on this one thing, and you don't give a fuck what it is, but you're going to do anything possible to make that happen. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I definitely respect that.
That'll do it.
Check. Do you remember the first time that you came to the States? And
fuck yeah.
What was that?
I'll never forget it.
What was that how did that even come about?
It was the trippiest shit ever. Well, a friend of mine, Gary Valentine, who was the only other Australian that had been to America and had befriended Lance Mountain, and that's how we got that hookup. I thought Gary had talked to Lance Mountain before we went there, but it turns out, according to Lance Mountain, at my 50th birthday, so recently, we just knocked on his door, and he was like, "Oh," And Gary was like, "Oh, mate, remember you said I could stay at your house? Here we are. I'm here with me mate Jason." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So it was more of a barge that I thought we were invited to. But like I said, they just, he let me stay there until his wife was absolutely fed up with us living there. And they were like, "You got to go." And then I met Ben Schroeder and lived at his house. I really just became a child of whatever house they let me live in. And when you're that young, you don't even know if you're being inappropriate by existing there. I was just like, what's for breakfast? And they're like, "Who the fuck is this Australian dude?"
Yeah.
So
how did you
ignorance is bliss.
It is, it really is. How did you convince your family to allow you to at what,
They wanted
17?
me out of there.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. After coming to America the first time you said for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
What was it like having to come home?
Well, I grew 6 inches. My hair grew real long. I got a tan because I was in California. So a lot of it was just fucking chicks when I got back. And I was the best skateboarder in Australia. So I just rode that.
Yeah.
I went back for 6 months and acted like a shitty rock star in my little town, and whatever chicks that were cute, they definitely wanted me. And that was, it was like a mini, teeny, weeny Conor McGregor.
There we go.
Yeah. So I walk around fucking, "Hey, motherfuckers," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. And that's the thing. I was connected to, I'm a shithead. So my friends in Australia were shitheads. We used to have a party called the Loser Party.
I love that.
Shitty tattoos, bad choices. Grunge was our thing. So we were a lot of Alice in Chains and heroin. A lot of people were on heroin. I saw people shoot up, and that deterred me from doing that for a while. But yeah, just lots of drugs and sex and rock and roll. And then, every now and then I'd come back and everyone would be like, "Look at Jason. He's one of the best skateboarders in the world now, and he gets paid to ride a skateboard. You kind of shouldn't even be here. You're not really that much of a loser." But I'm like, at heart,
yes,
I'm a loser. And they're like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, you are."
Let's go.
Yeah. So that was I didn't cut those ties until many years past where I should have cut those ties.
So you go to California, you spend 6 months, you go home. How long was it until you were able to come back?
6 months.
So 6 months. So 6 months goes by, then you come back.
Yeah, my dad let me work at his shop terribly. So I had to cheat.
Okay.
Not a lot of people had that option.
Yeah, definitely.
To save up. It was like, I think it was about $1,600 for a ticket.
Okay.
And then I would lie in customs to say because you have to have $1,000 a month, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I got tons of money in the bank." I didn't have any money at all.
Wait a minute, you need to have $1,000 a month
to prove if they're like, "Oh, you're coming to America and you're gonna with the 6-month holiday visa."
Yeah.
You obviously have at least $6,000 in your bank account if you think you're gonna live here because you ain't getting a fucking job.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Of course I'm not getting a job," but I was totally trying to get a job.
Yeah, you definitely were, I'm sure.
Yeah, I got caught in the end. On the 4th time, I went to Vancouver, and when I was coming back through, they were like, "What the fuck are you?
How did
you just come to America every year for 6 months? What job do you have, little boy?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, it was like, "You got the money?" I was like, "Yeah, I got the money." And it was, back before you could just show it on a phone or something. He's like, I was like, "I'll go to the ATM and get a bank statement." And he's like, "Cool." And I left the airport and got a taxi back to the city and called Moses, and because I befriended the Red Dragons.
Holy shit.
And they came and got me, and I lived in Vancouver for 6 months until Colin recommended that I get on PAL skateboards. Got on the Bones Brigade. They got me an athlete visa, and that's when I became legal on the 4th time that I came to America.
Holy shit. What getting signed, because that was like your first big deal?
Well, it wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal to me,
Yeah.
and I was too young to realize the security that I just signed.
Yeah.
It didn't. I was like, yeah, I think it was like $2,000 a month, which was the most I'd ever got paid at that point because I was on Element before that, and I think it was 600, and they gave me a raise to 700. So I was still couch surfing with that kind of check. But then the Red Dragons let me live in their ramp. I had a room at the ramp. Then when I signed to PAL, they started paying me enough to get my own apartment. So I had my own apartment, and I'm skating with the boys and putting in work, filming stuff for 411, shit like that. It was a great time in my life.
It definitely
but
was.
I don't think I could have been far more serious.
Do you think that held you back during that time? I mean, how old were you?
20s. Yeah, I just always been that guy. I've got this crazy drive to be the best, but I'm an addict, and there's only so many days I can go without not getting high. So yeah, and I think if I had have like really strived and done a few things that I didn't do, maybe placed better, got some more money, I would have killed myself. Because if you had given me $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year, I would have. I only bought as much coke as I could afford.
Yeah,
you go Harvey's in a gram. Maybe if you got enough money, get your own gram.
Yeah,
but you can't. I couldn't afford an 8-ball, and I would have totally got an 8-ball if I had the money.
You'd have blew your whole entire check on
yeah.
that. There's really something to say about that, right? Especially being so young to make that type of money. You can definitely find yourself in some pretty fuck places, especially if you don't have like any mentors or anyone, helping guide you through that experience.
Yeah. My mentors were party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first signed to Powell and you got what did you say it was? What type of visa?
Athlete visa.
And what exactly?
P1.
Okay. And so what does that mean?
You can get paid. You can live there for, I think it's 6 years. Yeah. 6 years you can live in America and get paid.
Okay. And so that's exactly what you did. You moved to California?
Yep. Encinitas.
All right. And, during that time, what else were you doing? Just skateboarding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? Yep. That's it.
Your drive to, continually push and focus on this, what was that breaking point? You were skating for 15, 20 years. Did you hurt yourself? What exactly happened?
Yeah, I got to a level where I just had a few tricks that I was trying to make in a contest that I hadn't made. And I'd kind of hit a breaking point because I wasn't putting in the extra time, but there was a few tricks that I had that were, I did them real big. So if they went wrong, you were getting checked. So I got knocked out a couple times in a row, woke up with something broken, go to hospital, get surgeries. And then I think I don't know how many it was, but might have been. I did a couple of real stupid things. I fucking crashed a dirt bike twice and was out for 6 months because I tried to do the same jump 3 months later and crashed again and broke it the same way. But I think I got scared. I think I started to not enjoy being in a contest because I knew that if I made one trick that it went into another trick that I hadn't made yet. And so far I was eating shit on that trick, but I wasn't going to not do it. I wasn't going to not try it. Never was a strategy guy.
Okay.
I just thought if you make that, that's going to be so sick. And that's as far as my train of thought went. I didn't go, well, maybe, I have a safety ride that would get me in the finals, which was so shit because I'm so trying to be safe to make it to the finals. And then there was no in between. It was like I make it to the final and then I'm like, that's it. Kickflip McTwist, or bust. And it was just a bust every time.
How do you, when you're like training for these competitions, like, do you plan out your entire ride? Like
yeah.
You're going to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And like every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. But then in the finals, it would be, you're just going to do that trick you haven't done.
So you don't even practice for it. You just try.
You can't. I mean, the way I was trying kickflip 540 was I'm completely upside down and the board flips into my hand and I'm just in a Jesus Christ pose upside down. And then I would fucking front flip in and throw it down between my legs and it was just eating shit. I broke my wrist real bad, like dislocated it and fucked the hell out of it. Got knocked out, woke up, fucking ambulance. Had to get like a special surgeon. My hands like never really worked the same way again. You know, just kept happening. Just things like that broke both my elbows, fucking ruptured my spleen or whatever, and separated my shoulder. And then I broke both my elbows again 3 months later.
Holy shit.
And got lacerated kidneys. And it was just like painkillers made me angry because I was doing them so much in a year. And I was never a junkie for painkillers. Like I'll do them, but I never tried to get heroin after it or anything. But it was the monotony of going to hospital.
Yeah.
That I was scared of. Like I was sick of it, but it was like a fear sickness. Like where I was like, I'm not going to the fucking emergency room again. Like I had my little PSP because I was in my car all the time because I would always go to the fucking emergency room and they make you sit there for a long time. So I'd play the little moto game.
I remember
until
those.
they'd fucking see me because I was so used to going and I got sick of it. And then, you know, I think Mega Ramp came right after that and I was already pretty washed up. But I've always wanted to go really big and really fast. And I'm friends with Danny and I'm on the DC team for being like a court jester, if you will. And, you know, Danny's like, I don't want anyone else coming in the ramp. And I'm like, I would love to go. And all of a sudden I'm kind of back in it without really, you know, I had a radio show already. I didn't practice as much. And Mega Ramp, you can't fuck around with that.
No. And
I was fucking around with it. And I got hurt there. That was probably the end of it. I did an Indy 360 between the leg over the gap, and I'd spun a couple of Indy 5s. And when I do Indy 5s, I front flip them. And as soon as I took off, I went over the deck. So when I grabbed at Indy, I knew I was over the deck, and I kicked my board away, and I fell 16 foot and landed on my hip on the coping. It's so hard that it took a piece of meat out of my leg, and there's still to this day is a donut where you can put your finger in the hole and touch the bone.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
To this day?
Yeah. Yep.
Like from the outside.
It's like a dimple. If you push on the dimple, you can feel my bone through it because I hit so hard that the meat just fucking bounced.
Holy shit, dude.
And then after I hit my hip, then I fucking front flipped to the flat because it ain't over. That fucking quarter pipe is 20 foot high. So then I did a front flip onto the flat, land on my back. And just the feeling of, it wasn't the pain. It was when I went to grab my board and I knew that I was over the deck on a 16 foot Indy 540. It was, you know, really scary. You know, I was like, you're going to die, you know, and paddling and wiggling. And then I hit the coping and bounced off. And I think, my age, the job that I had, you know, where I was like, you've got a kid now, you know, this radio career could actually be something and you're going to kill yourself on this fucking ramp. I think that was the day where I realized that you don't have it anymore.
Was that a hard pill to swallow?
Fuck yeah. I probably didn't admit it for another 20 years.
How old were you?
30s. You know, by the time I was in Mega Ramp, according to me, I was washed up, you know, like they had me in there because there was only 10 people in the world that could jump it. So I made it in the final.
Dude.
But people could jump it. They just never, you know, when it first came out, it was pretty scary.
I mean, just from the outset, it's fucking terrifying. Like what even goes through your mind? Like being an individual, that's it. Don't die.
Yeah, first couple times at least. Yeah.
Just even regular jumping it. No tricks, no nothing. Just
jumping the gap's not a big deal. Jumping the gap's nothing. It's the quarter pipe. That's the difference.
Why?
Because there's fucking G-forces in the quarter pipe. And if you squat into the quarter pipe, it'll shoot you out like Jake Brown.
Holy shit.
And I don't think anybody else could live from that slam. I think Jake Brown's a short little compact nugget that could survive it. I think someone else might have died. He looked like he died.
Has anyone died from it?
No, because we're all, if you're going there, you're pretty good, and if you're going to hit the quarter pipe with a lot of speed, you're also very good because that means you jump the gap pretty easily, and it works out, man. I think maybe the only person I know that tried to hit the quarter pipe that doesn't have the ability to do a head-eye aerial is Pat Duffy, and he snapped his femur because if you don't know how to do 8-foot backside airs on a normal vert ramp and you hit that quarter pipe, you're dead. It's the end of it.
How do you train for something like that? Is there, do they have one set
up
somewhere?
Pull the tampon out. That's how you train for it.
No, but for real, like, do you get to practice?
You don't get. How do you get to practice?
I don't know. I'm asking.
You can roll in from the landing on the gap, and that you end up going about coping level. You can feel the transition a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're probably doing about 10 mile an hour, and when you go over the gap, you're doing about 45.
Fucking hell.
And it's just not the same. No. You just got to be ready. You got to have your vert legs on, and you've got to have, some faith. You got to have some confidence, because if you flinch on that thing, you're dead.
100%.
So it's just more of a mindset. You go down that roll in, you've got to be serious. And I feel like if you're, top 10, top 20 in the world on vert, you're aware of being serious.
Yeah. So
it's not that dangerous. But when you first start trying it, like I did it in Mexico City where the altitude is different. So over the little gap, the first backside air I did on the quarter pipe was 20 foot high. I've never done a 20-foot backside air before. I didn't know that when you go past about 16 feet, you lose. I can't tell where I'm going to land until I'm on my way back in. So there's like it feels like a way longer than a second, but it's probably like half a second. But you go poof, and as soon as you go whoop into the air, and you go like fuck, I don't know, and then on the way back in, you're like, oh yeah, okay, we're in a good spot. We're gonna live. But there's at least a second there where you're like, I could be over. I could be Jake Brown right now. I can't tell. That is also not that pleasurable.
And that's every single time.
If for that contest, yes. Every single time I did that fucking method air, it took me 2 days to land it because I just kept getting spooked at the top of it. Where I would just throw my board and be like, I'm fucking dead. And then I'm on the way back and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to land in the transition,
Holy shit, man.
And even that hurts.
Yeah.
Like if you land a little too far out, it doesn't look like much, but it is.
It definitely looks like a lot. I mean, you guys, the way you guys fall, there's definitely an art to it for sure. But
and I was already old and beat up. So all those falls, they were, they really hurt. I was in ice boxes every night, like up to my knees, trying to ice everything because it was just so damaged that it was hard to walk the next day.
Yeah,
like I said, it became so hard that there was not a lot of pleasure in it anymore. To me, doing a 360 over the gap and then doing a giant method air, nothing's been greater feeling wise in skateboarding in my life. You cannot match that. A 20-foot backside air, you feel like you're flying.
Yeah.
And that was worth it. But then it got to the point where, everyone's doing 5s and 7s over the big gap. And I was like, you're not good enough. And I already spent a couple of years being washed up, still trying to be in a contest. It's not what I came to do,
Absolutely.
I love it. But if I'm going to be dog shit in the contest, I'd rather go home or be announcer.
Hey, it seemed to work out. What was that day like when you put up the flag, put up the skateboard?
What do you mean?
When you announced your retirement,
I never...
Not announced, but announced to yourself. Like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. No more contest. No more nothing. That's it.
I mean, I can't... It wasn't that significant to remember it. Like, it was already... I pushed it way past that. Like I was in contest when I already knew I was washed up.
Yeah.
So I think I realized when I took the job at Sirius and moved to LA that I knew you're not going to skate every day. And if you don't skate every day, you're already not that great. So it's over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're in your 30s, right? You're definitely hurt. Did you have like any like methods for recovery? Because like all the bones, you all right?
I just didn't do any of that stuff when I was younger. Nah.
How do you feel today, 50 years old?
Well, now I've tended to a lot of the injuries. I've had surgeries and I've had stem cells twice. I do cryo and, acupuncture. I do a lot of stuff to fix all the injuries to still do stuff. Cause at one point it got so bad that I couldn't train anymore. Because I got into MMA, and then my knees got so bad I couldn't do jiu-jitsu, and then couldn't wrestle. And then my ligaments got so loose that I couldn't kick anymore or get kicked. So then I just became a boxer. And then Chuck Liddell told me about stem cells in Colombia, and I went and got stem cells, and I put my legs back together. So now I can do all that stuff. I just don't go as hard because I know what it's like to lose it, and I don't want to lose it again.
So talk to me about that experience, going to get stem cells, because I'm actually going to be going in the springtime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You going to Bio Accelerator?
That or the Stem Cell Institute.
Okay.
Can you text Alyssa and ask her to turn off the heater? Thank you.
Yeah, it's hot in here.
Yeah. Ask her to turn on the AC, or I could do that. It's hot. You're hot?
Yeah.
Let's do that real quick. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk right now.
You don't need me to text her anymore?
Nah, I'm just going to turn it on. Just tell her that I'm turning on the AC and to turn on the heater in her room. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. Give it a second. All right. It'll turn on in a second. Okay. So I'm looking to go to the Stem Cell Institute or Bio Accelerator because I suffer from multiple sclerosis.
Oh, wait. What's that?
So it's you want to pull this up? You can pull it up right now. It's a neurological disease that affects my entire body. So the myelin sheath on my brain, what you can see is like these white dead spots that's causing different parts of my body. So joint issues, brain-based issues, every part of my body is like firing off on different cylinders.
Whoa.
So for a while I thought that I was
bad.
It is bad. It's really fucked up. Here we go. I'll read it to you right now. So MS is a resulting nerve damage. So it's a disease in which the immune system eats away at the protective covering of nerves. In MS, resulting nerve damage disrupts communication between the brain and the body. Multiple sclerosis causes many different symptoms, including vision loss, pain, fatigue, impaired coordination. The symptoms.
Do you have that?
I do.
You can't see?
Well, sometimes my eyes get a little blurry. But mainly
And stem cell fixes that?
So yeah, there's huge studies out there right now. I'm taking more of a holistic approach because a lot of the medications out there, it's called disease modifying therapy, and a lot of people that get on it have a lot of adverse side effects. Like my wife, she has a friend that just got on one of the therapies, and within a week she was disabled. Fucking crazy, man. And within 5 to 10 years, it'll cause another autoimmune disorder, where stem cells from multiple sclerosis have all the benefit with very, very little downside to it, as you already know, right? And they're starting to find that stem cells, especially the ones that they do like at Bio Accelerator or the Stem Cell Institute, have a very high success rate that can bring down the pain, bring down the severity of everything someone that has MS for a year to 3 years. It's fucking crazy, man. And so I'm in the middle of looking into that. And what's really
I highly recommend it. It changed my life.
So what was that experience like? You go to Bio Accelerator.
It was awesome. It was fucking awesome.
How does the whole process start?
They reach out to me, and then they said, get MRIs on your injuries and send it to us. And because of the people I know or whatever my name is, they're like, you just have to pay for the airfare.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
it. No, I don't have to pay for the stem cells. So both ankles, both knees, and my shoulder. My shoulder was my biggest concern because at the time I'd already faced that I wasn't going to use my legs the way that I used to. hadn't been able to run for years. Wasn't that big of a deal. When I got into MMA, I was like, oh man, running is like pretty important. I wish I had ankles again. And then when I got these stem cells, they fucking did. I fucking run on the beach, man.
Dude.
Fucking 10 years after they were fucked. So they were fucked, and then I just wrote it out. I've always had puffy ankles because I've shredded them so much. And then I got stem cells, and then I could run. So I ran, and then I hurt them again because I fixed everything. So then I tore my ACL, and I ripped my MCL off. So then I had to get a cadaver MCL replacement. And so then I went back to get them shot up again. And my shoulder was hurting without doing anything, and that was the one that was worrying me the most. And it's also the thing that tells you when you get older, that's what's going to happen to athletes like us. Like if you've had a lot of injuries, you think you're old because you're too old to be pro, but you don't realize that when you get to 70 and shit. Because I just never thought I'd make it to that. I still don't. But you're going to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be on painkillers. I want to be coherent.
Yeah.
So stem cells was the last hope. I remember when they told me that they could fix it, and I started crying a little bit, like in happy tears, because I was like, there's no way this is real. Like this person's telling me that I can play again, like full speed. It was just, I thought it was over. So BioAccelerator is the shit. They're fucking awesome. So yeah, the needle, I didn't know because I don't do research. Chuck Liddell says it's cool. It's cool. And then I go, okay, so ready to get shot up. And I'm like, what's the anesthesia? And they're like, oh, we don't have that. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's going to go inside your leg. So there wouldn't be anything we could numb it with anyway. And I was like, oh, yeah, those suck.
Yeah.
But if you've had lots of surgeries and you've hurt yourself a lot, pain is like, it's an old friend.
Of course.
And knowing that these injections that are gross are going to fix you, it's totally worth it.
Absolutely, man.
I got him in my face.
You did? Mm-hmm. What did that do?
Nothing. I look old as fuck, but
no, you don't,
it was a
man.
fun video.
You don't.
But it was so painful. 10 times worse than all the other ones combined. Because it's just like over and over again, they stab you. Just keep stabbing you, injecting you with stem cells just all over your fucking face. You're like, you can't escape it.
And so how many days did they do this for?
Injections are in one day. Nah, that's not true. Second time I went there, they did. They did my face one day, and then the next day they did both my ankles, both my knees, my wrist, and my shoulder.
And how long did it take to start feeling a difference?
It gets real sore the next day. You can't walk. I was in a wheelchair. A month.
That's incredible.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Life-changing.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
What do you think it is that we're not doing that level of stem cells in the States? Why?
Because painkiller companies don't want you to get the surgery because you'll be fixed. They want to give you the knee surgery or the shoulder surgery, and then you do the rehab, and you pay everybody all the money, and you do the painkillers, and you do the whole thing versus potentially getting one needle, and you're good.
It's a never-ending cycle. It's like the same thing.
It's bullshit.
It is complete bullshit. It's the same thing I'm dealing with my MS, right? The number one medication for multiple sclerosis in the United States costs $250,000 a year. A year, right? Mind you, my MS treatment, right, for stem cells, 5-day therapy at the Stem Cell Institute, $25,000.
Well, that's really good. That's cheap stem
with
cells.
Way better results.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You just answered your question.
100%.
Like if they can get way more money, they're gonna opt to get way more money.
Yeah, because they're gonna keep those people on that medication for the rest of their life.
Yeah, they don't care what happens.
No, not at all.
They get money.
Absolutely. Right. It's especially for the people listening that are going through a lot of similar type issues, regardless if they're professional athletes or not. Just hearing all the amazing results from stem cells, it just blows my fucking mind away. And I hope that there's a true paradigm shift in the States sooner than later. I mean,
yeah, me too. I think it's bullshit. I don't understand. It's like you get it from the umbilical cord, and that's illegal. I'm like, the people at BioAccelerator, they check the family, they check the grandparents and their grandparents, and then the baby is born alive and everyone's happy, and the fucking cord or with the placenta or whatever, they just take it.
Yeah,
nothing. It's not murder. Like I feel like people think if you get into stem cells, you're taking baby parts, but you're not.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's donated.
Yeah,
it's not even
and they get
stolen.
paid
100%.
It's like everybody wins.
It's a huge win, right? And they had to find a match for you, correct? Too.
Yeah, probably. That's more BioAccelerator's job, but yeah,
of course.
It was a girl. It was a little girl.
Wow.
Yeah. They show you the thing or whatever, which was trippy.
I
was like, oh wow, that's an actual human's umbilical cord. Like that's her, and she gave me, 20 more years of playing like a jerk off. Pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
How did you get in? Because earlier you said you got into MMA. How did that even come about?
Well, when I retired, when I moved to LA, I tried to buy a house, and the money I had, I could only afford to live in Temecula. So I bought a house in Temecula, and I would drive 4 hours to work every day. And there was a MMA gym in Temecula. It was Dan Henderson's gym, Team Quest. And I just walked in. I didn't know. I just walked in, and the trainer for Team Quest, Ryan Parsons, knew me somehow from skateboarding, and we became friends. And he was like, "You should train with the pros." I was like, "You think that's a good idea?" He's like, "Yeah, they'll love you. It'll be great," and kind of embraced me and put me in a very lucky situation where I got to be with all the good guys from the start. So as soon as I started training and hearing their stories of fighting and stuff, I learned something every day there. And in skateboarding, I'd spent the last 7 years losing stuff. So it was the new bug. It filled the gap because I couldn't skate anymore. I had to go to Hollywood every day. And MMA was, I still got to test myself.
Still push yourself. And I think that's important. And I think a lot of people, as they get older, they're lacking in that.
You could just tend to give up. You tend to get tired, the stresses of life, and you're like, man, if it's going to hurt, I'll probably stop doing that. But now, I'm not trying to shit on anybody. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But
I think it's
just
important,
I know what I need in my life, and I need exercise. I need to push myself. I need to break out a big sweat and get so into something that I don't know about the rest of the world for an hour or two a day.
It's imperative to the brain, not only to the body, right? Especially as you get older, it's so fucking imperative.
Right, and if you're temperamental, I'm a potentially depressed person, so it's part of my things that I need to do to stay level.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm sure you can relate to this. It's like if you miss a workout or you miss two, it's like I like kind of like start to beat myself up, right? If it's the weekend, I'm doing stuff with the wife or whatever the fuck it is, it's like I beat myself up and I got this bug, a few years back, and it's been a fucking game changer for me. And you
train?
Well, I work out, religiously.
How was that with your multiple sclerosis? Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Good job. It's so important. It's truly everything because, so many people that are going through MS, especially as it starts to progress, their body starts to break down and get weaker and weaker. And my whole mindset is I'm trying to make my body the strongest I possibly can be. And take more of a holistic approach through, ice baths and sauna.
Shit does amazing stuff,
massage.
man.
Absolutely.
Probably the most out of any one thing that you can do to help yourself. I think the ice bath is the one that I see the most results.
Absolutely.
Better than a massage or acupuncture all that stuff. Just 3 minutes in there, freeze your ass off.
Freeze your ass off. And it's so crazy what your brain does in the beginning. You're like, I don't know.
In the beginning, still does it.
No. Well, I'm saying
hate
before
going in there.
I hate it. I hate this morning before I got in. I was working out. I did like an hour and a half workout, and I knew the entire time once I was done, I had to hop in the fucking ice bath, the cold plunge, and I was just like, God damn it, because I have mine outside.
Me
and
too.
So you know what it's like, right? It's already fucking cold outside, especially if you're going in the fucking morning, and then I just got this mental thing going on. But then you get in, and you're in there for 3 minutes, and it goes by fucking quick.
Yeah.
But then when you get out,
Not every time.
well, but you know what I'm saying? In retrospect, 3 minutes is a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But you get out and you just feel like you accomplished something so fucking hard. And
I agree.
and my body just feels so much better than it did before. And so, regardless of people with MS, I think working out, ice baths, all of these things are just so important.
Dude, you know what I can tell is I have an open relationship, so I'm on like Bumble and shit, and people pair up with me that are my age. And when you get to 50, if you don't work out, your shit comes off,
Yes.
dude, hard.
Yes.
And I freak out because I don't think I'm that fit because all my friends are super fit. But for my age, I'm really fit.
Fuck yeah,
And
you
I
are,
look
dude.
really young because some people's faces are. I'm like, what do you mean you're 49? You look like you could be my mom. Like, what happened to you? I'm like, I think it's when you get to 50, if you drink all the time,
Yeah.
you're going to pay. If you smoke, you're going to pay. And if you don't work out, you're going to pay. Which is also, the 50s where you start to look old. But then if you make it to 70 and 80, if you worked out the whole time, you'll be able to live a life that's kind of similar to anybody else out there that has all their arms and limbs working.
Yep.
You can still do stuff.
Yes,
I
you
feel like
can.
some people, I'm 50 now, I can't do anything. And then by the time they're 60, they're fucked.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's what it is when you're 60. But I disagree. I think, obviously the mental, because it does hurt more. It's harder to wake up. I train and I wake up in the morning and I can barely walk. It's like, man, you need to call it a day. But I don't. I get in the cold plunge and I use some mental toughness where I'm like, yeah, you are sore, but you're not on fire. It's not like that kind of pain. So just sack up. And then I find that it goes away and you can do stuff that 30-year-olds can do.
100%.
That's what I find anyway.
Dude, I have to say, when you said that you were 50 earlier, I was like, I was fucking blown away, right? Because you don't look like you're 50.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look really good. And it's so funny. It's like when you're younger, you like, I remember being 16, 17, thinking 50 was old. But now it's like, especially like when both of us were younger, 50 probably was old. Because if you look at a lot of the people back then, they weren't taking good care of themselves. They weren't.
They
doing
didn't
the things
know.
real. They did not
Look
know.
at the food pyramid if you're that old.
100%.
They're just suggesting that you eat butter and bread all fucking day. It's like, that and a couple of beers every night, that'll fucking do it.
100% backed up with a couple cigarettes and you're
you're
rocking
done.
and rolling.
Yeah.
But now you look at some of these people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. They look incredible. It's like a game changer.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you have money or not. We can all work out. We can all do these things. We all can get a bucket and get some ice and throw it into a bucket and take an ice bath. Do all of these things. I know some of the other things can cost some money, but even just working out, doing some HIIT exercise, doing whatever, just getting
You
your
don't even
body
need
moving.
workout equipment.
No, you don't.
You
Not
just
at all.
Fucking do some squats and jump around like an asshole.
And you can go on YouTube, right? You can look up 30, 45-minute workouts.
Look how jacked people are in prison.
100%. 100%.
Look how jacked people are in solitary.
Absolutely. And then there's
Push-ups, son. Push-ups and crunches.
Push-ups, crunches, burpees, baby, all day fucking long. And if you can do that, it's a game changer, especially
It's
as
just
you
how
get
much
older.
you want it, man.
100%. And I have this this acronym that I say all the time, and I know I say it all the time on the podcast, but it's DBAB, don't be a bitch. Every single day when I'm wake up and I'm feeling like shit, I just remind myself, don't be a bitch. Just fucking do it. Push yourself through it. Because
Mine's harden the fuck up.
there you go. Same thing.
I got it from a boxing coach. That was a good one.
Hard enough. I mean, it's the same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
Two sides of the same coin. So you get into MMA, you do all of that. Earlier you said you're doing comedy. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the show is funny a lot. I sometimes can be funny. And then I have comedians on that would suggest that I do that. And then I tried it about 4 years ago and just tried to go up on stage and say some funny stuff, no plan. And I was like, oh man, this is way harder than I thought and a little too much work for me. I'm already a successful radio host. I don't need this shit. And then bowed out. And I remember I did an interview with Craig Ferguson, who him and I kind of liked each other in a weird where we don't really know each other that well, but he would have me on the show and he would come on my show, and I cared for him a lot, and I felt that he cared for me. It was weird because, like I said, we don't really know each other that well. We're both sober. He's obviously a far more professional sober guy. He's totally sober. I still smoke weed and stuff. But he made me promise him on his show off air to not give up on doing stand-up. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I never really got it, but it always stayed in my head. And then when the pandemic hit and I got fired from Sirius, I was like, well, you know, if you were going to try one more thing before you cash out, because I have a heart condition and shit, I don't know how much longer I'll be alive. I was like, there it is. And then I really tried. I went regularly and worked on a set and did it enough. It's kind of like surfing. Like if you do it enough, you're like, okay. And then the nerves of it, the pressure of it, it's exhilarating. There's a lot of pressure, ups and downs. You know, you're super high on doing well. You're super down because nobody laughed. It's like skateboarding, but when you do it wrong, you don't go to hospital.
Yes.
So I was like, this is something that gets the adrenaline going that I can do that isn't irresponsible, because at this point to just find another sport where I can get hurt would just be stupid. So yeah, I'm hooked. I want to be good at it, you know. And that's the other, I want to be good at it at the end. You know, I don't care about the rest.
I love that. How often do you get out there and do it?
Whenever I'm asked, probably a couple of days a week, depending on what's going on. I'm lining some more things up, so I'll probably start doing it even more. But I've been real busy, so staying up late and getting up early, I got to watch it. I'm smarter like that these days. If I start to burn out, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go out tonight because I'll be shit tomorrow.
Isn't that kind of crazy? As you get older, you start to realize these things. You know, when you're younger, you think you're invincible.
Well, because you kind of are.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go up, stay up late and get up early and be fine. But now I will not be. I will be trashed. I look like I drank a bottle of whiskey and I'm like, what? Because I had 4 hours sleep, that's it?
I know.
And then the next day's still fucked.
I know.
Like it's not just like one day of hardness. Yeah, so that's an easy choice. I want to be good, man.
Yeah.
I want to still do great things. I feel like I'm not done. I feel like I'm just heating up. And to shit it away, this is it's not even a decision. I'm not doing that.
I love that. What's your writing process like for comedy?
Pretty bad. I'm pretty bad at writing jokes. I'm more of a storyteller because I've lived a crazy life. I'm just more of how to master telling these stories that I've lived in a way where there's constant laughs through it. You know, so, you know, I got little sections where it's funny and then there's a little bit more of a storytelling. And I'm just trying to tighten it up. The more I go, the more I lose the story part and hit the jokes.
Yeah.
But I've got something. I know I have. I'm new and you can't expect too much when you're new, but for how long I've been doing it, I'm good. I've got natural ability. So just like radio. Skateboarding, I was not naturally gifted at it. And I put in the work and I became top 3 in the world at one point.
Damn.
So to me, I see it as you put the drive in that you did in skateboarding into anything and you'll be good at it. And if you've got talent in it, like actual ability on top of that, it's good for you.
Would you have thought at 50 years old you'd be trying new shit?
I wouldn't have thought I'd been alive. I still don't. I have a terrible opinion of my lifeline. Which is why I drive so hard, because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So I try to do as much as I can while I'm here.
Yeah, I think that's a good philosophy for life, though.
Yeah, it's a bit pressury, a bit too much stress. I wish I could just be like, you're going to be fine. But
yeah, but don't you think that's for a lot of people, right?
yeah, for sure. Everyone's the same. Yeah. I remember when my dad died and my brother died, same year. I was so fucked. I'm like, nobody's this unlucky. And then I talked about it on the radio, and fucking tons of people called me talking about way worse shit.
Yeah.
I lost my brother, my sister, and my dad on the same fucking day. And I'm like, that's way worse than me. And he's like, I got to work. You know, we all go to work. We all do what we have to do. You know, you got to shake it. You know, it's the same thing. If I die, I don't want anybody that cares for me to fucking wreck their life because I died.
No.
If anything, excel in my name. So that's kind of what I try to do.
You know, there's that saying, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And I think that losing your father and your brother in the same year, that's fucking terrible for anyone. So it's a shitty thing.
But it was a fire, you know, under my ass, because it was the end. You give up right here.
Yeah.
It could be all over right here. And I just don't. I'm like, no, you know, for my brother, I'm just not going out like that, you know?
He wouldn't want it.
I know he wouldn't want it. He want me to do the unbelievable. And that's what I'm doing. I'm doing stuff where every now and then I go, Stevie, if you could see me, can you fucking believe this shit? Because he wouldn't believe it. He'd be like, that's unbelievable. I'm like, I know. Happens to me all the time. Caught a wave the other day with Tony Hawk. Unbelievable. But that's me. I always end up doing shit where I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? Whitney Cummings, like, when'd you do stand-up for me? I'm like, okay, Whitney Cummings. You know? And then I'm like, look at this. Can you believe this? It's fucking unbelievable.
It's inspirational, man. It's fucking cool.
It's a good time.
It is fucking cool. To dial it back real quick, right? You've said a couple times about your issues with addiction. How did that all come about?
How did my addiction come about?
Yeah, I mean, because when we're all younger, a lot of us, when we're younger, we fuck around, and some of us take it this way, and some of us take it that way.
I mean, I feel like I was raised to party. To be successful is to party. If you get enough money, you can get like all the drugs and you can party. A real winner has all the drugs and all the women. That's how I was raised, to think that to be the winner, that's what you would have. So, getting some money from skateboarding, doing well in a contest, it's time to party, you know? And I grew up partying in a way where I think it took me such a long time to realize that the way I was raised to party was excessive. I knew I went pretty hard, but I didn't realize how hard I went until I was addicted to everything. It was like I didn't do it. I didn't know I was doing it. I just, you know, I don't know. One girl brought up how much coke I did one night, and I was like, really? She's like, you don't remember that? I'm like, I don't fucking remember any of those times. And she's like, yeah, it was like the first line you did scared the fuck out of me because it was like a half a gram. And I was like, yeah, I don't remember. But we just went hard back then, you know? And, you know, I was always running from my childhood. And maybe subconsciously it was more of a self-medicating thing so that I wouldn't have to face it. But I ended up taking so many drugs that I ended up remembering it. An imaginary friend told me all about the abuse. And then the next day I woke up with it in there. So in a roundabout way, the drugs showed me. But I also feel like my body wouldn't let me know until I was old enough and strong enough to not kill myself. Yeah. So I think if I had known at a younger age, I probably would have killed myself. But by the time I knew, I was already living a pretty good life. You know, my girlfriend was a penthouse pet, and I was like the best skateboarder in Australia, and I got paid to skate, and I lived in America. It's like, you can't kill yourself now.
No.
You're on fire. So, and then by the time I was 40, then I found out even more stuff, which is even crazier to know that I lived 40 years on the planet without knowing certain things had happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kind of shaped me. You know, I survived it. You know, I excelled from it. So I don't feel sorry for myself for it at all. I feel like it helped me. You know.
Yeah. Was there like a breaking point that just made it all crumble? And
What do you mean?
Like a point where the addiction got so bad that you're just like,
oh, well, it depended on the drug. I would do one drug too far and then I would ace that. So I did heroin when I moved back to Australia. It was back when I was pro and I went on a date with a trans girl and Tas Pappas saw it. And then he came back to America and told everybody that I was gay. And that made me go back to Australia because I just didn't want to go to a contest anymore with people asking me, is it true you're gay? And I'm like, no.
yeah,
Because I didn't even know what I was. And so I went back to Australia and I was bored out of my fucking mind because I was getting paid to be a skateboarder and everybody in Australia had a job. So I would just spend days by myself, just sitting around, get drunk, take ecstasy, get a hooker on the way home. Hookers are into heroin. I'm like, let me have some of that. And smoked a little bit of it. They taught me how to chase the dragon. And then I started chasing the dragon in the parking lot after I get the prostitute. And then I ended up getting two and just saying, how about you guys inject me? And I was boning one of them while the other one injected me. And then I passed out. And I woke up in a park, freezing. And this park, it was like super fucking sketchy. Like, you don't go there. You don't go there at lunchtime. And I was just up against this fucking pole, freezing my ass off. I woke up, so I probably almost died.
yeah,
And they didn't call anybody to help me. And my wallet was empty. I got robbed, freezing cold, almost died. I was like, right, I'm not going to do heroin ever again. That was, you could have died in so many ways. What the fuck happened to you? Why? I'd never thought that you would go there, you know? So that was the end of that one. And then I tried to get back to America. And I think cocaine still existed in my life because that was a party drug. I didn't feel bad about that. And then I think it got to the point where I like pulled all my nose hairs out, and the coke dealer I used to buy coke off, he had a girlfriend where she couldn't keep her tongue in her mouth. She just it was like that, standing behind him all the time.
What?
Yeah, because she did so much coke, her nose wouldn't work, so she could only breathe through her mouth. Oh my. And she just looked like a panting dog. And they told me I did too much coke and I was cut off, and I was like, I'm cut off. Look at her. She's panting like a dog. Yeah.
So is that the breaking point?
I was like, yeah, you should probably stop doing coke. And then alcohol was a battle for many years after that. Sober a couple of times, back on, drink to the point where I do something where, I was old enough to where, I felt real bad. I wasn't mean. I was just stupid. I'd just do stuff where people were like, dude, that's so inappropriate. Like, you tried to do this or you tried to do that. I'm like, fuck. I'm losing. We're older. We're talking about going into business with each other, but no one's going to go into business with Jason. He's he fucking vomited on the carpet and fucking had a conversation with the cat and took his clothes off and danced on the balcony and tried to make out with my wife. Like, not all those things I felt really bad about them because I'm not a bad person. It was embarrassing. So I really fought that. I went and did meetings and all that stuff. And then it got to the point where I have a heart condition. And the doctor's like, if you drink, you could probably have a heart attack. And I was like, oh, that makes it easy.
Yeah, it does.
So I never drank since.
Ta-da. It's kind of crazy because most people, when they are going through addiction and they are faced with these things, waking up, in the park or the panting dog or the heart condition, right? They just keep on going.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you're different. Why is that? Because I know someone that is dealing with a heart condition right now, and they're telling him that he needs to quit smoking cigarettes, doing all the things that he's doing. And I thought in my mindset, like, okay, if that was me, that's an easy decision. Like, fuck that, fuck the cigarettes, fuck this, fuck that, right? But within a week, he's back to his, same way. He's not cutting down on his food, all these things. And it's just, it's quite strange.
That's easy for me. My brother died when he was 24. He had his whole life.
Yeah.
It's gone. I'm going to kill myself?
Yeah.
No. Like, not even close. I'm surprised that I don't have more things wrong with me from the partying days. It's actually not from alcohol abuse. It's hereditary. So regardless, I was going to get it anyway. So it's not the drug's fault. But yeah, I really want to stay alive. I really want to do way more. Like, I feel like I've done a lot of stuff. It's all about me. And now I'm in a situation from being half a gay that I can help a lot of straight gay people because they're all terrified. And I remember being terrified that, somebody could find out who I am. I wouldn't even think about it long enough to know the correct answer. But I'm in a position where I can help somebody not kill themselves. So I definitely have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you definitely do. Because of being able to share your story and inspire people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, because they are. Nobody knows, because if you're straight, you can't admit that you get sucked off every now and then. That's, you're going to lose friends. Who knows? You might, your parents, all kinds of shit could come down on you. So I'm just here to say that that doesn't change anything in anybody who you fuck.
Why do you think that is a society? Like
religion?
100%, right?
It's where they got it from.
100%.
Why is gay bad? Where'd you get that?
Religion.
Right.
Because the Bible says.
I'm not saying religion's bad, just saying that's where it came from. No. It's not all good for what they do.
Just like anything. There's a lot of great stories and great things in there, but there's also some fuck things, right?
And it's humans, because there's a lot of rules in the Bible that people don't live by or care. You can all eat bacon. No one seems to care about that, but that was bad.
It was.
It's just the ones where, I get it. I was raised to be real straight too. It's weird. Sometimes I make out with dudes. I'm like, man, this is so gay.
But like, dude.
But I wanted to do it. I like doing it. It makes me happy. And it doesn't hurt anybody.
No, it doesn't.
People are like, what about your kids? I'm like, yeah. What about them?
100%.
They know that dad makes out with guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy wanted to. I'm not a rapist.
No.
I'm just a guy that likes having sex with different people. The end. The more I talk about it, you can hate me if you want, or you can switch the channel or whatever it is you want to do. But I just keep thinking about those people out there that are like me, that are living in fear. And especially the young ones, because when you're young, that's the time where you'd be like, you know what, maybe I should just kill myself because this isn't right. Everyone is, it's lonely. It's lonelier than it is. It's just in your head.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, fucking fag, it hurts me, And if I was younger and less confident and had less going for me and less responsibilities, why do I need to be here?
Yeah.
Because I've felt like that. So I feel like it's important for someone like me who is like a tough, straight guy. Well, people think I am anyway. That is like, yeah, I'll make out with dudes.
Dude.
It's fine.
My level of respect for you just went through the roof.
I've never been happier, actually.
Hearing the person that when people found out about you and your trans situation and you went back to Australia to kind of like hide.
Mm-hmm. Terrible time.
To now being so fucking open about this.
Mm-hmm.
There are not many people out there that are doing that.
Yeah, I know. And I can tell why. It's uncomfortable still. Still sometimes people that I am friends with or look up to are like, man, do you have to do that? And I'm like, I'm not doing it to annoy you.
No.
It's just who I am. And I'm a exhibitionist.
Yeah.
So you put that on top of it, you're going to hear about me being gay.
Absolutely. But it's for also all the people out there that are going through this same situation, that are young and influenced by a lot of
I get
the
at least one
peers.
message every day from somebody who's hiding. And they're like, you just make it easier for me. I told my wife the other day, now I'm allowed to like hook up with a dude every couple of months or whatever. And now he's happy.
Absolutely. And that builds that bond so much tighter between that husband and wife.
I've each to their own as well.
course.
If you want to be one-on-one until you die, that's awesome. I'm a guy that I'm not satisfied if I'm not, pulling my dick out with a bunch of people. That's kind of who I am. And if you think that's gross, fair enough. But that's what I'm doing. It's what makes me happy. The more I do it, the happier I am in life. And my wife, like you said, it's saying, yes, you can go over to that person's house. And then I come home and I'm like, I can't get it any better. My wife is hot and she loves me and we fuck whenever we want. But sometimes she's like, hey, go ahead, go see whatever. And I do. And when I'm on my way there and on my way back, I think, your wife knows.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about it when you get home and you're not in trouble. Who would have thought that you could live such a great life? That's what I think.
No, you are blessed, my friend.
I really am.
You are fucking
Sometimes
blessed.
like more than one couple, like 4 hot girls and then me. I'm sorry. If you want to shit on that, go ahead.
Yeah, fuck them, man. Like, fuck them.
It is cool.
And for your wife to respect it, be okay with it, to have open dialogue about it.
Yeah. Yeah, same with her. If to bone somebody, go for it. Bone on.
Absolutely. Was this like set up in the beginning? Or is this something that was...
Yeah, when we first met, she was the one that made me come out. I mean, she didn't make me come out, but she helped me with all that because she asked me about trans girls. I had a calendar that a trans girl came on the show and gave me her calendar and had a bunch of trans girls. She's like, you like trans girls? I was like, yeah. And I remember thinking, don't lie to this girl because I'm done with that. I've had 2 divorces because I was hiding parts of me. I'm like, I'm not, you can leave if you want when I tell you this, but I'm going to be honest. And she didn't say that's okay. She said it's hot.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? It's hot. She's like, yeah, would you do that in front of me? I was like, if you wanted me to, I guess. And then her friends and her showed me, got me a Grindr account.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of boys just want to come over and blow me and then say thank you and leave. And I'm like, can you believe this shit? And at one point she would hide in the dog crate and we put this blanket over so you couldn't see in there because she didn't believe me. She was like, they just blow you and then they leave and they say thank you. I'm like, I swear that's what they do. So she would hide in the crate and watch it. It was a bit kinky like that.
That's amazing.
It really was. It was really cool.
Yeah. And that makes your guys' relationship even tighter.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been through a lot.
Yeah, for sure. How long you guys been together?
10.
10 years. And you guys have a kid, right?
I got 2 kids with my ex.
2 kids with your ex.
Yeah.
Right. For you, right, speaking about this and being so open about it, what was that switch that went off and how long ago was that?
Heart condition, being on a bed with heart monitors, and I don't believe in God. So, at one point I was like, maybe my brother could hear me. If you can hear me, can you not take me? I believe I'm not done. There's some stuff that I haven't got through. I can do something here that makes it better. So don't take me. And I've been there a couple times there where they shock your heart back in. You're fucking close to death, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, 'cause this is it. This is the end for me. And then I thought about who I really am and that I hid it because I didn't want anybody to bully me. And now I'm dead. And I kept you happy. Whoever the fuck this person is that doesn't approve of my sexual fucking lifestyle. And I just thought, if I get back on my feet, I'm not going to answer to anybody anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And if you want to judge me, I got OnlyFans. I don't care. You can, oh, man, you get fucking butt fucked by chicks on there. I'm like, yeah, I get butt fucked by anybody as long as I like them. You can take a video, you can fucking send it to your mom. I don't give a fuck. This is my life. You know, I'm living the life that makes me happy, and it's who I am. I'm a gay what is it? Exhibitionist. Yeah. So I like doing it. I don't care about the money. I don't care about any of it. When I'm gone, when it's like time to go and I'm right there about to fucking take my last breath, I did me. I did me where I wanted to. And I was good for this world. I didn't do anything bad. I put in more than I fucking took. I'm ready to go.
Dude, I wish more people would live their life like this, regardless of whatever the fuck it is. So many people wake up and live this just day in and day out grind of this facade of a life.
Yep.
For whatever the reasons are, society, their family, whatever it is. But to have an individual that sits right across from me saying, no, fuck that. I'm living my life on my own terms. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. And I'm going to share my story.
I shouldn't say I don't give a fuck.
Well,
I just
you do
choose what I want over giving a fuck.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't hurt.
Of course.
I wish I could make everybody happy. I wish I was like a really good example for everybody, and everybody be like, look at him. Like, he's always doing the right thing. But I know that it's not that popular to be bi. It's not that popular to have your dick on the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I've let people down. I really am. But this is who I am.
And that's my point. Like when I say like you don't give a fuck, I know you do give a fuck.
Right.
But to have that mentality of I'm going to live my life on my own terms and share my story along the way.
You're not going to rob me. No. This is my one shot on planet Earth. You're going to rob me from from whatever I want to taste.
Yeah.
I'm going to taste it all.
Let's go. Let's go, dude. All right. Cheers, brother.
Yeah.
Bring it in, man. Salute. As we start to wrap this up, man.
Okay.
What's the future like? What are you currently working on? I know you got the podcast with Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
What is that experience like?
It's the best job I've ever had. Because it's my friend, and I enjoy his company. Yeah. And we're recording it and trying to turn it into a big show. And I feel good about that too. I think that the show has a lot of potential. I think that in the next year or two, it'll probably be a pretty big podcast. So that's one thing, to be successful. But it's also, even if it doesn't, it's my friend that I've always looked up to, who's like an ambassador to the thing that I love the most. And he's just such a good guy. And I get to do a show with him once a week, and we skate together and talk about old times, and he knows me from when I was a little kid, and I know him from, I can't remember a day where I didn't. And it's just a Cinderella story, really, that thing is. And then the Jason Ellis Show, that's my baby. I made that when nobody wanted it, and I turned it into a big thing. And now podcasting, I have to do it all over again. I have to reconvince everybody because we're nowhere near as big as we were. I'm not in the Joe Rogan loop, so I can't get that much exposure. So I'm just plodding away and trying to do my best, trying to make it a success story again. That would be the coolest thing to me, because I feel like getting let go from Sirius was, you're fucked now. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'll show you, from skateboarding into radio. And then, I want to turn stand-up into my job. I want to be a successful comedian. I want to travel the world doing comedy. That's what I want.
If anyone can do all of these things, I know you can.
That's what I think.
Just from hearing bits and pieces of your story, your tenacity to continue to push forward when adversity is pushed right on you is very inspiring. The setup for your podcast with Tony Hawk and your own personal podcast, what is different about them?
The Jason Ellis Show is a lot. It's a little more raw. The topics are gross. offensive, childish. There's no filter. There's no, we're not touching that, unless it's politics. Don't usually get into that. Unless you're bashing gays, then I'm in politics. Somehow people are like, man, we keep the politics out of your show. And I'm like, are you talking about me talking about
It's so weird, dude.
trans people being accepted? Because I don't know why that's political, but I just feel like they're people and they deserve equal rights. That's it. That's the end of it. Don't give them a bonus. Stop making up shit about how their fucking kids are dressing up as cats and shitting in a sandbox at school. Stop making that story up. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's unfair that you're pumping that story out and making innocent dum-dums go, oh, that's what's going to happen. All the kids are going to be cats and shit in sand. Like, no, they're not.
I remember when everyone thought that was real, and then you found out it was fucking bullshit.
I saw fucking Joe Rogan say a good friend of his. I'm like, no, you didn't. And then like a week later, he's like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, man.
At least I can respect that he brought it back, right? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, right?
He said, I don't want to do it on here.
No. It's totally fine.
My friend.
I know.
Her wife is a school teacher, and she said, so that means that you have a friend and his wife saw a kid take a shit in a sandbox. And then it turns out that
it was bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different when you go, I heard a person that's a teacher at school who said this. You're saying you got a personal friend and their wife is dealing with kid shit.
Yes.
And then it turns out that's not true. You're bullshitting. You bullshitted to make it look bad for the community. That's how I see it.
Was that based off of the trans community? Or
yeah, that's how it's because you hate trans people because they're terrorists. They what are they doing? They do the kids because they drag queens. They what is it? They train. I forgot what the word is that they use.
Groom.
Yes, they groom. They're grooming children to be gay.
Yeah,
which is not true, but that's like a big thing that a lot of people say.
Yeah, it is.
So, I think if you're dumb and you say that, that's not your fault. But if you're smart and you say that, you're saying that so that the dumb people believe you, and they are against trans people.
Yeah, I think that just because a few people out there might do this one thing, that does not mean that a whole community is like that.
There isn't even one.
In any community. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are, grooming people, like
but they're
Catholic,
not trans people.
Catholic priests and shit like that.
There you go. Which is that's the other thing. Like it's coming from people that actually do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Don't get me on that. People are going to get mad at me.
It's all good. It's all good.
I just want everybody to have the same deal.
I respect that, dude. I totally respect that. So that's what your podcast is like. What about yours and Hawks?
Yeah, it's about friendship, skateboarding, obviously. I think it's inspirational because we're old people that won't stop, and we're figuring out ways to continue living a full life, even in like Tony's he's going to surgery tomorrow because his leg didn't attach. We're talking about a 54-year-old guy that broke his femur and started skating like fucking 3 weeks after it. And now he has to go back in and get the bone, rebolted. And it's a lot. But he's not going to break. I did a show with him this morning and, he said it's been really hard to know that he's going back in and, who knows if his leg reattaches correctly and, he could be done skateboarding for the rest of his life. Like he's facing that. I don't believe that's what's going to happen. But it makes sense that he would face that, and he is willing to go in, get the surgery, do whatever it takes to heal it, and I believe that he will be back doing all the things that he did.
Yeah. And
when you do that, you show people that it's never over. So it's full of inspirations. Like I haven't skated for over a decade, and I've just started skating in the last year or whatever. I'm learning some of my old tricks again and doing some heavy shit at 51. And people are like, man, like I'm 45. I've got 2 kids. seeing you guys on the ramp made me go get a skateboard again. It's like, you don't have to start trying McTwist again, but
No.
you can go to the park and roll around with your kids, or, it's never over. And to get that joy back, because I feel like I was saying before, the word is out with, oh, I'm getting old, I should probably be more responsible. It's like, I'm not saying you should like gamble your life savings at a roulette table. I'm saying you should go to the fucking ramp and still skate at your level, because losing your childhood is kid shit. Kids have fun. I don't think about tomorrow. I'm skating and I'm not thinking about taxes or fucking kids or I'm just thinking about riding a skateboard with my friends, having a laugh. It's one of the, if not the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm not letting it go. Just because I'm older, you don't have to let it go. So I think the show's a lot about that. Because we're out there, old as fuck, having a good time, shredding, getting gnarly. A little too gnarly sometimes.
If you would have told me when I was younger to see a 54-year-old, a 51-year-old doing some of the things that you guys do, seeing the things that Tony Hawkins still do, it's just mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's inspirational.
Yeah.
It truly is fucking inspirational, because there is no limit, right? Obviously, as you get older, things have to slow down. You're not going as crazy, but still to be able to push yourself, it is all I can say is just inspirational.
I feel like all the old guys that skate with each other are inspiring each other the whole time, because it's a different vibe up there. Like when you skate now and you try something that you haven't done for a long time, everybody knows that you're putting a lot more risk. You come up short in your 50s, it's not going to be like, man, I'm a bit sore from yesterday. You're going to be fucked.
Yes.
So we're putting our lives on the line, but that's
are.
our life. Like I've still got it. So yeah, I'm going to put it on the line.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate, you can't beat it. Like I did a kickflip indie the other day and I drove home and Tony texted me because he wasn't there and he just heard about it and he just texted me, dude. And I assumed it's because he found out. And he goes, when was the last time you made one of those? And I was like, your tour, Boom Boom Hug Jam. And he goes, dude, that was 20 years ago. Jesus. So I hadn't done a kickflip indie for 20 years. And once again, little tears of joy on the way up the 405. You can't take that from me. Like you can't match that, to be 50 and to have that good of a feeling.
No. Not at all. 51 busting a kickflip indie. That's fucking nuts, dude.
I'm gonna do a 540 too. I'm gonna get one more of those, and then I'll probably hang that up, because if that goes wrong, I'm gonna get really hurt.
You better get it on film though, bro.
Multiple angles.
Yes,
trust me.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah, we know what we're doing out there. It's gonna be documented, because, like I said, I'm not doing. If you didn't get it, I'm not doing a second one.
No.
That was it. Yeah.
Shit, man. You're good peoples, man. You're fucking good peoples. That's all I can say. You just this conversation went complete. You're a true inspiration to so many people out there. Being so open, real, and raw does and will connect with all the people that listen to this episode. And it connected with me in a major way. Like, it's never too late. Always continue to fucking push yourself and be open. Like, be so fucking open.
It's a more enjoyable experience, because I've been a closed-minded person who hated everybody. I mean, I hated people for their style in skateboarding, let alone your sexual preference. I hated everybody. I hated people for their socks. And then to let that go, because I had insecurities, I had fears, and that's why I would tear people down. I've been angry. I've been the person that like sits by himself for hours at a time, and everybody's scared to come over because I look like I'm going to tear someone's face off. I've been there. I've been the tough guy. I've been the guy that's like, man, watch out for Ellis. He'll kick your fucking ass. It's fucking overrated. Like, I'm not that tough. I'm scared too. And the more I say it, the more the weight lifts off me. And I want to be happy. I want to make people's lives happy. I don't want to make people's lives worse. And since I've gone down that road, my existence is more enjoyable. So, I've been homophobic. in my life. You know, it's how I was raised. Now I'm accepting whether I was gay or not. I want to accept my brothers and sisters for who they are. And because I've made that decision and worked on it, because you don't just flick a switch and you're like, I like everybody now. That's not what happened.
No.
But the more I work on myself, the more I'm able to accept other people for what they do. And the happier I am just standing there. And that is so important. You know, like I feel like there was a time there where I was so dark that I wouldn't be able to enjoy the company of my children, you know, because I'm like thinking about something that's annoying me. I'm stewing on it, how I'm going to get them back or something. And now I'm like, hey, yeah, I am annoying. Maybe that guy should have said that because I am, you know, a pink Jeep or something. Someone's like, fuck your pink Jeep, homo. And I'm like, it is pretty obnoxious.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I hope that guy has a good day. Instead of, where does this dude live? Wait till I fucking knock on his door. Then we'll see how fucking happy you'll be. Like, it's overrated. I've actually lived it. I didn't test it. I was a fucking mean guy who was dark and pissed all the time. And it's over fucking rated. It's terrible. And now I'm like, good for you, everybody. Kick ass.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. I feel like I'll probably live longer.
Yeah.
Because I'm not stressed about it.
Yeah. A lot of people that have that pent up anger and rage are just stressed about things.
Because I had it. I was stressed as
and
fuck.
it's their own insecurities. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah.
What do you want your lasting legacy to be? When you leave this earth, what do you want people to remember you for?
I made people laugh. Took their mind off their shitty day or something. And then obviously with the LGBTQ community, that I did something. I helped people. Kid wanted to off himself and decided not to because he heard what I was doing. That will do. That will be everything, actually.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, mate.
It means everything. And where can people find your information, show, all that stuff?
At Wolfmate on Instagram, at EllisMate on Twitter. I don't know about going to EllisMate on Twitter. I put stuff up. My dick's on there. So maybe don't go there. But yeah, Instagram, and then the Jason Ellis Show is available where all podcasts are available. Hawk versus Wolf, same deal. And then we both have Patreon. So patreon.com/EllisMate for the Jason Ellis Show, and patreon.com/Hawk versus Wolf for Tony and myself's show.
I love it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Have a good night, people. Boom! Come here, brother. You are fucking good people. You just hang it up right there. Just throw it on.